Welcome back to Inside. I'm Syed. Every week I take real academic research and bring it closer to the life you're actually living. Like a diary that did psychology, let's take a peek inside. I don't know if it's just me, but I struggle to keep my shoes tied. And to go to class, I have to cross a small park using a stone footpath. Yesterday, my shoelaces got undone. I was already late for class, and this was frustratingly the third time I had to tie them, but it was ultimately necessary. As I got down and tied my shoe, I noticed a patch of grass by my feet. It caught my eye because I'd never realized how populated it was. Each individual strand of grass layered on top of each other. It led me to pause, to look. Every day I walk down this path, and yet only now I realize how beautiful it was, how much detail there was in that single patch of grass, how it was truly alive. I had fallen out of something known as inattentional blindness. In psychology, it's what happens when you don't notice something because you're focused on something else. It was originally observed during experiments on attention, and it helps our brain process the world around us without overloading. Because if you had to process every piece of dirt on earth you saw, you'd most likely end up on the ground overwhelmed, processing every sensation that would inevitably bombard your senses. Isn't it something? How clever the brain truly is. We've grown to filter things that we've gotten used to. Filtering, schemas. We've learned how to take shortcuts that make processing this complicated world a little easier. But what we often forget is that in taking these shortcuts, we can miss out on the greatest of things that were always there. Have you ever seen the invisible gorilla? Researchers in 1999 performed an experiment where they had participants watch a video and count something in the video, such as how many times people passed a basketball between one another, or how many times the ball bounced. They were then asked if they saw anything out of the ordinary. I'm sure you can see where this is going. If you were told to do the same, do you think you'd notice someone dressed in a gorilla costume move into frame, beat their chest, and walk away? Out of 228 people, all of whom were people actively studying and learning in university, 114 of them said they didn't see anything strange. 114 people. Half of them. I've linked the video, but because you already know, it might be obvious to you. But it's a fun game to try out with a friend to see if they notice. But why am I talking about a gorilla? What I wish for you to take away from this is that as we go about our day, we often exclusively focus on things we have to do. Rarely do we remember to experience the now. Granted, those 114 might have correctly counted how many passes were made or how many times the ball bounced, but they missed the gorilla. And if they could miss something so obvious, how often do we miss the subtle? When was the last time you looked out your window and noticed the stars in the night sky? There's something so honoring in that starlight. It's traveled almost unimaginable distances, light years across galaxies, just for you to see them. Or maybe something as close as your friends, the ones you always hang out with. How often do you actually notice those moments while you're in them? I like to let this be an invitation. Look for something around you, something you see every day, and just be happy you have it. Whether it's your favorite mug or your best friend, be happy that you get to call that experience yours. After I tied my shoes, I stood back up. Suddenly, there was so much color. The small park I walked through every day was alive. The trees had bloomed, the sky was clear and blue, and I felt the warm sunlight put my heart at ease. I was confused. Had something changed? No, not really. I was still already slightly late to class. I had a feeling this wasn't the last time I tied my shoes. But this experience? Was that new? Again, not really. It was always there. I just needed to notice it again. And that brings us to the end of this week's Insight. Thank you for spending your time here. As always, if something today stayed with you, the Best way you can support is to share it with someone it may reach. You can also follow the show wherever you listen, and if you have a moment, leaving a review genuinely helps more people find us. Until then, remember that there's always more inside.